Guys, Turkey Day is coming up, and you know what? I'm gonna show you how to make a better turkey than you're used to, easier than how you normally do it. We're gonna do it on top of a natural rack, and we're gonna partially braise it using those leftover liquids to make the gravy later. All right, so a natural rack, we're gonna make it really, really easy for you to understand. Instead of putting your turkey on a tray or like a baking rack or however you're normally gonna do it where your turkey is sitting on top of a metal rack, we're gonna use a natural rack. Today, I'm just using specific vegetables. You can change it up depending on your flavors. There's no right or wrong. We're gonna start out with a bunch of celery. This is really forgiving. You don't have to do anything to it. You just throw the celery in the bottom of the pan. Take my carrots, put those in the bottom of the pan. I have a garlic clove. Just gonna set that in there. A little bit of thyme. Some sage in the bottom. Some rosemary, a whole onion broken up. I have some really nice whole Italian sausage. I'm gonna lay that around it, and all of that fat is gonna help make up for the lack of fat that's inside of a turkey because they're very lean birds. Now that I have my natural rack ready, we'll make the stuffing. I'll show you how to do that and kick it up a notch because we need the stuffing to stuff the bird. We'll do the bird last. There's nothing wrong with using a box stuffing for your Thanksgiving stuffing. All this is croutons and poultry seasoning, which if you're gonna make your own stuffing, you're gonna buy bread, turn it into croutons and add poultry seasoning anyway. So buy the box stuffing, use it, but let me show you how to kick it up. I'm gonna start out with a pound of sausage. This is regular Italian sausage, not spicy, not sweet, just regular Italian sausage. And I'm gonna get a good sear on this and cook it so it's kind of medium. I'm gonna use the fat from the sausage with some extra butter to saute my vegetables. Now that the sausage is browned up, I'm gonna throw in a giant knob of butter and let that melt down. Now that the butter is almost all melted down, I'm gonna add in my vegetables and my apples. Got about 2 Gala apples. I like Gala apples because they're tart, but they cook up really well. About 1 onion, a couple stalks of celery. Now that we've got some really cool color on our sausage, the apples, the onions are translucent, let's use our box stuffing, which as you can see is literally just little baby seasoned croutons. Now we're gonna add in our chicken stock. I always use room temperature stock because I'm gonna use the rest when I braise my turkey and it just makes sense. And then when you add in that liquid, it's gonna deglaze the pan, releasing all of the fond from that sexy sausage that you were cooking down. And I like to add some pecans. One of my favorites is half figs, but I also like black currants. So today we're gonna do black currants. And a little more seasoning of my own. This is just kind of like an old world European style rub, which is what I'm gonna season my turkey with today. This is done. Let's prep our bird. Guys, let's talk turkey. First things first, don't need that. That temperature thermometer, whatever they describe it as, pops at 180 and your bird is done at 165. So why overcook it 15 degrees? If you're doing it on a pellet smoker like us today, put your probes in, watch it that way. Now that that's gone, we're gonna double check the cavities. Take the gizzards out, I don't need that today. I am going to save the neck and put that in for the stock. There's a little plastic bit here. We don't need that. Make sure you take that out. That way it doesn't melt or cook in with your turkey. This tail right here, we also don't need. But we can put it in with the stock. First steps first, I like to put a little bit of oil inside and mix it all around. Take some of our spice rub, season the inside of your bird. Let's grab our stuffing. I'm gonna fill the bird completely with stuffing, as much as I can fit in. And then I'm not gonna do it loosely, I'm gonna compact it down. So I'm just gonna take a little bit from the back and make sure that there's some right up here also, just so it cooks more evenly. If you oil and season the top of the bird, a lot of times what's gonna happen is the skin is gonna crisp up and it might come off, or the seasoning is gonna be on the outside of the skin and not on the actual turkey when you go to slice the breast. A lot of people tend to open up the skin area here and they season under it or they put herbs in it, which is totally acceptable. There's nothing wrong with that. I don't prefer that as much because I feel like if I stuff herbs under this, they're gonna kind of separate the skin and make it so the skin is kind of null and void. It doesn't stick to the breast anymore. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna kind of open it up a little bit. I've melted butter and my spice rub that I'm gonna use on the back of the turkey. And I'm just going to pour it in to that cavity. And then now that it's in there, kind of work it around and massage it. But notice how the skin is still on the bird. It's not separated, there's not a lot of herbs, there's not like this big dome of where it's been stuffed. I'm gonna do that to both sides. I have some avocado oil that I'm gonna rub on the bird. Even all the way around. You can use olive oil, that's totally fine. Don't use vegetable oil. And then the rest of my spices, I'm just gonna put that on, rub that all the way around. This seasoning that I'm using right here is heavily influenced by Western Europe and French cuisine. There's a lot of garlic and onion in it, sage and other dried herbs like parsley and oregano, and it even has porcini mushroom powder in it to help bring out some of that umami boom. Now for the front legs, in regards to trussing, I don't truss them, I just fold them under like this and use the weight of the bird to keep them in place, tucked up. The back legs, I'll show you, I'm just gonna tie them together. Trussing isn't hard. All you're doing is just taking these legs and putting them closer to the body so they cook more evenly. If you were to leave them out like how they are right now, these legs are gonna cook and be done way before the bird is done or the stuffing heats back up and comes up to temp. So what you wanna do, tie a little bit of a knot, pull them across like this, wrap them around. There's no rhyme or reason to this really. You're just wrapping it around and then tying another knot. It doesn't have to be hard, just nice and simple. Keep the legs connected to the body really close. That's how I do my turkey. I like to keep it simple. So now this bird is going on our natural rack. Now that we have it in the pan, on the natural rack, ready to go, just these little spots that I've rubbed some rub off of. I'm just gonna make sure it's seasoned all over before we commit to smoking it. A little bit on the wings, the front of the breast, the top. There you go. Now, the chicken stock that I had that I made the stuffing with, I just opened. This is solid at room temperature. What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna add this stock to the bottom of the pan because as the turkey roasts and drips, this is what I'm gonna use to make my gravy out of later. With everything finished up on the turkey, let's go throw it in a pellet smoker. I'm gonna use 2 probes today. One of them I'm gonna put all the way through the thick part of the breast, making sure that it's in the breast and not in the cavity. And then the second one, I'm gonna put through into the leg, right next to the bone. It looks like the turkey's done. 165, ready to go. Let's take it out. Now that the turkey's out, we have to let it rest. Let's grab it out of the pan. There we go. While that's resting, let's make the gravy. Behind me on the sidekick, I already have an onion and some butter cooking down. Once the onions become translucent, I'm gonna add a little bit of some sage and a little bit of thyme. Flour. This is gonna develop our roux to thicken the gravy. We're gonna take the roux a little bit past blonde, adding some more color and flavor by allowing it to toast up a little bit longer. Because we're doing this, don't walk away, don't let it burn. Just keep mixing. Okay, now that we're getting some color to this, I'm gonna turn it down and pour in our leftover braising liquid. Once the liquid comes back up to a simmer, that's when the roux is activated and it's gonna start thickening. I'm gonna turn it down to low, and you guys know me, grab the stick blender and blend it all up. Oh, look at that gravy. Yes. Okay, let's carve up this bird. I want my sausage on the plate, maybe a little bit of garlic lives over here for the presentation. Let's get our trussing broken. Let's start by taking out the stuffing. Now that the stuffing's out, let's carve this bird. So to carve it, I like starting with the breast and separating that from the rest of the carcass very slowly with slow cuts. And as I'm coming down on the bird, I want to find out where the bones are and separate those out. And I like to take it completely off one side first, like this. And once this side is off, for presentation's sake, I like just setting it down. Now let's show you that again. We'll find the sternum and trace that down really close to it. When I come to the back, I like reversing my knife a little bit because there's a couple bones in here that I only like cutting coming up. Now, as we get down lower, the best and easiest way is to just slide that, and you can feel where the joints separate. And cut right past them. Same thing with the leg. Separate that out. Come up past the tail, and then right down past that joint. Just like that. Set this guy off to the side for now. Take out the leg. Separate the wing. Put some of the dark meat on the bottom. Maybe separate the drumstick from the thigh. And carve up the thigh and the breast. Now, if you notice with the way that we didn't peel the skin away, but added the compound butter underneath while it was still hot, the skin is stuck to the breast so perfectly that I could slice right through it. So each piece still has that perfect little skin on it. Guys, we have it plated up. It looks gorgeous. It smells gorgeous. That means it has to taste gorgeous. Let's start with the stuffing. Savory, fruity, salty, everything I want. Let's give the turkey a go with the gravy. This giant bite? I think yes. So good, super easy to make. Gravy tastes amazing. The stuffing's on point. Guys, use some of these tips and tricks. Help yourself out on Thanksgiving. Make it easier on yourself while making an amazing dinner. Good luck. Happy Thanksgiving.